Back in Britain in the late 1960s and throughout the 1970s, Christmas didn't arrive through adverts or supermarket aisles packed with cranberry-scented ambition. It arrived when your mum stood in the kitchen well before 9 in the morning, hair pinned up, apron already dusted with flour, peeling potatoes like the family were hosting the royal household, and reminding everyone, gently at first, firmly later, that sausage rolls cooling under a tea towel were absolutely not breakfast, no matter how many times you wandered in just to see if she needed help. No one talked about festive color palettes or entertaining themes. Christmas didn't need styling. It was warm, busy, cheerful, and a little chaotic, and held together with love, tradition, and the faint hope the oven would behave this year. So here are 15 Christmas foods from 1960s and 70s Britain. Not fancy, not curated, but unforgettable all the same. Number 1. Sausage rolls. They cooled under a tea towel like priceless treasure, even though everyone in the house knew exactly where they were. Children drifted past them like moths to a candle, offering flimsy excuses. Just checking the plates are there. Just seeing if Nan needs a chair. Just wondering if the cat wants to come in. Dads were worse, insisting on quality control with the solemn authority of a man who believed sampling was a public service. And every year, you burned your tongue, pretended it didn't hurt, and carried on because patience was no match for warm pastry. The smell alone was half Christmas. Buttery, savory, impossible to resist, filling the kitchen long before anyone thought about presents. You always promised yourself you'd wait until the proper meal. You never did, and truthfully, neither did anyone else. Number 2. Pigs in blankets. Tiny, glorious, and completely incapable of surviving more than a few minutes on the table. They were gone in movements, a flurry of polite reaching and not so polite speed. The polite rule was, take one. The family reality was take as many as you could before anyone noticed, then look innocent. There was always that one cousin who hovered near the dish, pretending to chat while quietly circling like a hawk. Someone, usually an uncle, would sigh loudly and say, "I only got 2, in a tone that suggested international injustice. And the tray? It always looked enormous when it came out of the oven, but within moments it resembled a battlefield of crumbs and curled bacon edges. Christmas goodwill had limits. This was the line. Number 3. The cheese and pineapple hedgehog. A citrus fruit acting as architecture, stabbed with cocktail sticks, pride and hope. Cheddar cubes, tinned pineapple, and, if someone wanted to make a statement, a pickled onion gleaming like a crown jewel. It wobbled slightly when placed on the table, a wobbly monument to festive creativity. 15 minutes later, it stood half-stripped, abandoned yet triumphant, a strange little sculpture of nostalgia and effort. The pineapple was sweeter back then, or maybe life was. It was elegance, British style, simple, cheerful, and served on the good plate that only came out at Christmas and funerals. Number 4. Twiglets. They tasted like Marmite had gone to finishing school and returned slightly bitter about the experience. Half the room swore they hated them, yet somehow the bowl was mysteriously empty by evening every year. Children pretended to gag, then ate 4 in secret. Adults insisted they were acquired taste, as though acquiring it made you more refined. They lived in cut glass bowls, quietly turning stale as you waited for someone else to move first. And if you walked into the lounge late at night after everyone had gone to bed, you'd find crumbs, proof that nobody truly disliked them as much as they claimed. They were the snack equivalent of an old aunt telling you she didn't really enjoy sherry while pouring a second glass. Number 5. Ritz crackers with cheese spread. Luxury, or at least the closest thing to it available in the average semi-detached. Ritz crackers shimmered like they'd been dusted in gold, and the cheese spread came in flavors that sounded foreign, exciting, and faintly suspicious. You assembled them carefully, trying to make them look like something from a glossy magazine that didn't exist yet. You balanced them on mismatched plates, stood in the kitchen still in your slippers, and felt worldly and sophisticated, even though you later sat at the table holding the cracker between finger and thumb like a delicate instrument and ate it in 2 bites. For a moment, you were truly continental, and that was enough. Number 6. Prawn cocktail. A dish that whispered luxury and shouted pink. Tiny prawns, slightly rubbery, questionably thawed, bathed in Marie Rose sauce, arranged over lettuce that wilted under the pressure of expectation. It arrived in a glass because glasses made everything seem grander. Even a fruit trifle bowl could become fine dining if you looked at it right. Adults adored it. Children stared at it with suspicion bordering on insult. Someone always said, "Oh, this is posh," as if wealth could be summoned with seafood and sauce. And still, on every Christmas table, year after year, there it sat, hopeful, wobbly, and absolutely essential. Number 7. Vol au vents and deviled eggs. Bite-sized ambition wrapped in pastry and pride. Vol au vents looked like they belonged in Paris, even if they came from the freezer aisle and tasted faintly of the 1970s optimism you couldn't quite describe. Deviled eggs sat proudly nearby, garnished with a sprinkle of paprika if someone wanted to show flair. You ate them daintily, trying to maintain dignity as crumbs cascaded down your jumper and filling escaped out the other side. You briefly believed yourself sophisticated, continental even, right up until someone walked past with sausage rolls and your loyalty shifted without hesitation. Still, you always took another vol au vent when nobody was looking. Posh tastes good, even when it isn't. Number 8. Turkey, or chicken if that was your house. Turkeys grew each decade as ovens, hopefully, improved. But many families stuck firmly with chicken, trusting its predictability. Chickens were small, dependable, and didn't require 3 relatives to help pull the roasting tin out of the oven. Turkey was impressive, but chicken was safe. Carving involved theatrics. Dad wielding the knife like a surgeon, everyone pretending not to notice it was still slightly blunt, and the first slice being ceremoniously placed on the best plate. Someone would always mention goose, as though deep down they lived in a Dickens novel. And every year, someone sighed and said, "Next year, we're doing ham, and that's final." Number 9. Christmas ham. Glazed with mustard and mystery, studded with cloves, roasted until the house smelled like comfort. It was carved thickly on Christmas Day and thinly, almost reverently, the next morning, when everyone claimed to be too full while quietly constructing the greatest sandwich of the year. There was always that moment when someone insisted they preferred cold ham anyway, said with the seriousness of a philosophical stance, and they weren't wrong. Boxing Day sandwiches were a holiday of their own, far less ceremonial, far more satisfying, and eaten standing at the counter in pajamas with crumbs falling onto the newspaper. Number 10. Roast potatoes in dripping. No instructions written, no cookbook consulted, just instinct, muscle memory, and a tin of dripping kept by the stove like a secret weapon. The potatoes emerged crackling at the edges, fluffy inside, and capable of settling family debates simply by existing. There was strategy in choosing them. Some loved the darkest, crispest corner pieces, others hunted for the soft, buttery ones. And though nobody said it aloud, there were favorites claimed silently the moment the tray appeared. Goose fat is fashionable now. Back then, dripping was enough. It still is, if we're honest. Number 11. Stuffing. There were 2 great culinary tribes. The families who lovingly tore bread by hand, mixed onions and herbs by feel, and claimed authenticity as their birthright, and the families who opened a box of Paxo with the same satisfaction others reserved for uncorking champagne. Both swore their way was superior. Both were convinced the other lot were missing out, and yet every single tray was scraped clean. Stuffing was never just stuffing, it was identity, tradition, pride layered with sage and onion. You didn't just eat it, you inherited it. And if there was ever any left over, there rarely was, it tasted even better cold the next day. Number 12. Bread sauce and giblet gravy. Try explaining bread sauce to someone not British. you'll fail. It's warm, thick, soft, and comforting in a way logic cannot justify. It tastes like childhood, steam, and quiet kitchens. You spooned it generously, not because you needed it, but because it felt wrong not to. Giblet gravy was a test of character. The less said about the ingredients, the better, and yet everyone agreed it was richer than anything else. No one wanted to know how it was made. They only wanted it on everything. Some questions don't need answers. Some traditions don't need explaining. Number 13. Christmas pudding. Dense enough to bend time, solid enough to be used as sports equipment in another life. It arrived flaming, lighting faces and curtains if someone leaned too far. Coins were hidden inside as both delight and hazard, and stirring it weeks earlier felt like magic and obligation combined. Half the table adored it, half endured it politely, but everyone clapped when it entered the room, glowing blue with brandy and pride. Even those who didn't eat it still wanted to watch it burn, because ritual matters even when raisins are involved. Number 14. Mince pies. Little rounds of danger and delight, fresh from the oven, steaming like tiny volcanoes of Christmas cheer, dusted with sugar if someone was feeling fancy. You always ate one too soon because temperature warnings meant nothing to excitement, and every family had its burnt tongue veteran wiping a tear and insisting they were fine. Some paired them with cream, some with custard, and up north, proudly, defiantly, cheese. You took at least 2, sometimes 4, and always blamed someone else when the plate was mysteriously empty. Number 15. Trifle. Layers upon layers of memory, wobbling gently in a glass bowl that came down from the cupboard only once a year. Jelly that trembled like it was laughing at you, custard thick enough to act as foundation, sponge soaking up sherry, or soaked only in fruit juice if children were watching. It never settled exactly the same way twice. Sometimes elegant, sometimes a glorious collapse, always gone by the end of the evening. There was always a small pause before serving, as if the family needed to admire it or prepare for it. No 2 spoonfuls were the same. No 2 Christmases were either. That's what made it perfect. And that was Christmas food back then. Not curated, not perfected, not styled, just warm, generous, and proudly homemade. It tasted of effort and routine and a kind of love that didn't need announcing. And even now, all it takes is a sausage roll smell drifting from someone's oven or the first crinkle of a quality street wrapper, and for a moment, you're right back there. Slippers on, telly humming, wondering if anyone will notice you taking just one more.